Welcome, everyone, to West Haven Planning Commission meeting. We're going to begin the meeting with an invocation by Commission Member Nalder, and then we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance by Commission Member Epperson.
Our dearly Father, we're grateful for this opportunity to come to this Planning Commission meeting. We pray that Thou will bless us with Thy Spirit, bless our minds to be open and make decisions which are best for the citizens and of West Haven and the community. We do love Thee and give thanks for all that we have. We're grateful for this country and the freedoms we have that we have where we live here. We do love Thee and say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Would the audience please rise and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, actions on our minutes from our last meeting. Any changes, corrections, additions? We should note there's one commission member online, Andrew. He's online, and then us here.
Hello.
You have any changes, Andrew?
I don't have any changes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion if there's no changes or corrections.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from our Planning Commission meeting on September 14th.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our last meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Amy, are you going to do the actions of the city council?
I can do it. Alika is going to do it.
Oh, Alec is going to do it?
Yes. Okay, so City Council granted preliminary subdivision approval to Ponderosa subdivision at approximately 1930 South, 1350 West. They granted approval to ordinance 23/2022, which is the rezone from A2 to R2 for the property off of 3600 South. They approved the ordinance 24/2022 rezoning Stonefield subdivision to A1 and R2. The council tabled ordinance 25/2022 rezoning Secrets Acres subdivision. Councilmember Call had seen quite a few lots. I believe it was anywhere between 15 to 20 lots that she thought should be rezoned or proposed to be rezoned to A1 instead of R2. So because there was quite a few, they're just going to update that table and come back to it next time. And then council approved ordinance 26/2022 rezoning Haven Estate subdivisions to A1 and R2. And the approved ordinance 22/2022, which is the third amendment to the MDA for the Green Farm Project.
Okay.
Whatever came of the park and the Schultz property piece of it? It was excluded out of the ordinance, but there was left open space between the park that the city thought they owned, and it was still listed as.
Mr. Schultz, they contacted Mr. Schultz. He's out of the country, and he said as soon as he's back in the country that he make sure that that got effectuated so that it was going to then be West Haven's. Was not sure why it had not happened that way.
Cool. Good. Awesome. All right, item number 5, discussion action regarding a preliminary plat, site plan, and master development agreement for West Haven Villas subdivision located at 2069 West, 2200 South. You're right there. You want to come up? I forgot your name.
Thank you, Commissioners.
What's your name again?
Dave Erickson. First of all, I'd like to apologize for last meeting. I had a bad attitude. I thought because our submittal was in conformity with everything as I understood it, I thought it was more of a perfunctory discussion. And after I thought about it later, I realized that perchance some of you weren't on the commission when we went through the attached zero lot line addition to the existing patio home ordinance. So hopefully you got the, well, I want to apologize for that. Anyway, I'll take a different tack today and try to explain to you why what we do is something that, to my knowledge, does not exist in the city, but has been well received everywhere we've constructed one of these developments. And hopefully you've read what I prepared or had a chance to go through one of our communities and kind of got familiarized with what we do. So I guess I'd like to start by saying there's a real need for quality senior housing across the country. I don't think anybody denies that. I think the question is, how do cities who are trying to do the best they can come up with a vehicle to allow for that kind of product that is quality, high-end, meets the needs of folks as they age. The fastest growing demographic in the country is seniors. 10,000 people a day turn 65. There's 74 million people born from 1946 to 1964. And whether we want to acknowledge it or not, we're all getting older every day, and there's a time and a place for every type of housing. And we provide a very well-regarded and needed type of housing that we've tweaked over the last 20 years to really dial in what people want. I think there's been, as I get into it, it seems like there's some sort of a question or disagreement or confusion or misunderstanding perhaps as to what a patio home is and what the city approved. The city approved a patio home ordinance, but the gist I get is that it's not necessarily what folks in the city thought patio homes were. Now, so if you look up any definition of patio homes, as I've characterized here, the one thing most of them have in common, but not necessarily have in common, is that they're attached. So I guess one point I would make is if you didn't want to consider attached housing, you shouldn't have called it a patio home ordinance, for one thing. But that being said, you can have nice patio homes. You can have nice single-family homes. Our contention is, if you read the purpose of the patio home zone is to provide an acceptable housing style for single-family empty nest type housing that is sustainable, quality product within West Haven City. Now here's the deal. Just because you call it a patio home, and in your mind what you're thinking are tiny houses on tiny lots, that doesn't necessarily promote anything to do with an empty nest lifestyle or a quality empty nest lifestyle. Now here's two examples. I didn't get the names of these. This one's under construction right now. The sign on the street is patio home. These homes are slab on grade. You can see over here they're approximately 12 feet apart from each other. Now, they call them patio homes, but in our experience, our folks don't need 3-car garages. They don't want 3-car garages. Heck, we only average 1.7 people per home. Now, there's a few folks out there that might have 3 cars. Most of our average cars are 1.7. So the way I would view this is both of these. Lots of garage, but doesn't really fit the niche of the folks that we are catering to. The key to a successful patio home that we sell to, now mind you, there are folks that want a little house on a little lot because they want to have a garden perhaps, or in the back, so they want a private backyard, small private backyard. I get that. But there's a whole other group that are sick of mowing the lawn and taking care of the yard, and that's why they want to move into one of what we do, because the way we construct our projects, we have lots more open space. We have 3 times the distance, roughly, between structures, and we can fit the same density with a quarter of the buildings. So in this particular example, if there's 76 homes, that would be packed in, boom, 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 boom. But they'd all be individual detached homes. Now there's a market for that product. I'm not going to deny that. A lot of people like that. There's also a market for what we do. We take a different approach. In our experience, we build a nice home. Our homes range from 1,650 to 2,700 feet. So they're not small. They're also not cheap. They're going to range between $500,000, $600,000. But the key that makes a patio home a quality empty nest development and one which is sustainable long term contains two elements which should both be addressed. What, in my opinion, these are issues when you have an ordinance that allows for a development agreement. This is where the city has the opportunity to exact certain things from a developer in order to make it quality and sustainable, okay? And those two issues, as it applies to what we do, number one, is what are we bringing to the deal to create that empty nest lifestyle? It's not 3-car garage. What it is $1 million worth of amenities. We built a real clubhouse. I mean, that's a picture of it. A large clubhouse. It's got stuff that retirees want to do. I mean, they have parties. That's a real party going on. They have potlucks every week. We've got, I'm not sure if that's Zumba or water aerobics, but we got that going on. We got quilting bees. We've got different clubs. We've got exercise facility. This is the type of thing that makes a quality, sustainable empty nest product. Our homes are nice. They're all open, vaulted. They're basically designed for two folks that can accommodate large family parties, because that's what our people are looking for. So the other part that's key to making us sustainable, whether it's our stuff or some other developer trying to do a patio home or an empty, I don't even want to call it empty patio home. You should focus on empty nest style. The other part that's critical is that the developer bring in CC&Rs that are so screwed down tight that the project will remain nice in perpetuity. If you had a chance to go through our project in Syracuse, that project's 12 years old, and it still looks as nice as the day we turned it over. And that's because the HOA is set up to function properly. It's restricted. This is another element you may want to do or not do, but our projects are all restricted, legally restricted to folks 55 and plus. And that fact alone creates sort of a solid base under everything else that creates that emptiness 55 plus community in perpetuity. So the other thing I'd like to just make sure I hammer home a little bit here is detached versus attached. I think you can have nice products either way. Our approach, which isn't for everybody, because some people want basements. We don't do basements. We don't do private yards. We don't want fences. We want an exterior fence that encloses the community and creates a sense of security, since we have a lot of widows that live in our projects. But what we are able to do is clustering in fours just diminishes the apparent density that exists in the community. So you can have 76 individual homes, you can have 38 duplexes, you can have 19 fourplexes. And the way we're backed up to each other, each front door is in the corner. The homes are split on the garage. They're nice, and people like them. So we have reviewed the draft development agreement, don't have any problem at all with it. In fact, I would maybe add a little bit to make sure that we can't wiggle out of something, and that would be to add some language regarding having to have an HOA set up with CCNRs, strict CCNRs that run with the land. And other than that, I guess I'd just like to try to understand if you have any issues that you don't like about what we're doing or proposing that maybe I can address.
Okay. Questions?
I just,
No, sorry.
I'll ask the amount.
just have,
Yeah, you can talk to him in the hallway after, but yeah, there's no public hearing on this, so. Oh, you want to state who you represent?
Sure, I'm the Vice President of Development for Leisure Villas. We're the largest builder of senior communities on the Wasatch Front. It's all we know. We're not very smart, but we do know how to make these work.
I'm just concerned that you're going from a private road to a public road in that back. Why not just make it a public road all the way through in that 2350? I mean, if the city's gonna be plowing, but not all of it all the way through, or maintaining, or you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I see, the road that it curves into.
And then my other concern is a lot getting access to that piece that's just west off from this property that would become landlocked.
Yeah, Alaka,
Those are
Sherry-
my two concerns.
did Sherry talk to you about that? Or you were here, weren't you?
Let's see. You're talking about that Dahl property to the west of it, right?
Yeah,
Based on what she wrote on her staff report, if you deem it necessary to have a stub into that property, then she was recommending denial of the project. But if you deem it not necessary, because you are right, it would be landlocked, then to recommend approval on that, but that's up to you guys.
Can I
That's all she
speak to
wrote.
that?
yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
are you finished? Okay, so I've looked into that. This issue was never brought up. This was a surprise to me last week. Never heard Pete from anybody about that. So let me get a couple of pieces of information. Number one, the property is not landlocked. It's got 150 feet of frontage on 2200 South. Okay, it's in a different zone. Our development has to be private and private roads. So if you look at the piece, right now, how to say this nicely, it's not right, it's not fair, it's not just to require one property owner to eat up an acre, well, almost an acre worth of property, 4 units to construct a stub road into the rear of the adjacent property, where that road is not on the master transportation plan. There's not that I can find any indication that there's intended to be a road there, when the property owner in question has room to do a private drive next to his home and feed the back property. That property is only 2.6 acres, which would mean the rear piece would only be about an acre and a quarter maybe developable, and the city's gonna require a 96-foot wide turnaround back there, like they required us. So that would leave, frankly, I don't think it's developable like that, not being fed from our property, because that turnaround would eat up a big chunk of what he has left. And I don't think he can meet the setback requirements developing it that way coming from our property. The better solution is he can run a private drive back to the side of his house. He's got room between his home and the property line, run it straight back. And I don't know what the flag lot situation is in West Haven, but that's how he should develop whatever he is. I can only see him getting 1, maybe 2 lots back there, which should be able to be fed from a private drive. That's the solution. I mean, honestly, whether we gave that away or not, the fact is he's going to have to put a 100-foot wide circle cul-de-sac back there. And that when you do that, you eat it up. There's no way to, I don't think that there's room to meet his setback requirements. But if he goes the other way, comes to the side of his existing home, goes back, I think he can put 2, maybe 3 lots in a row and feed them off of that private drive.
Okay. We beat that to death. Is there any other question?
Questions, just comments, same as last week.
I couldn't hear you last week, but I got hearing aids, so now I can hear you, so.
I just have to go back to my original statements that this kind of wasn't what we had envisioned for the patio home ordinance. It's not a 55 and up zoning, like in when we had the public hearing, the comments weren't, I guess, focused on that. So this doesn't fit with anything that I envisioned or the people that came in and talked that I have talked to. That's an anecdotal evidence there, but that is what they had wanted or expected. So this comes as a huge surprise, and I don't think that it is something that I would ever feel comfortable passing without having a public hearing again on it. And I would like to revisit the patio home ordinance. And I realize that doesn't matter for this one, like this is a whole separate issue. But the density, number one, is a big issue for me. Number two, we still did not do a traffic study. Number three, there isn't a trail that goes into this that was agreed when this was rezoned that we would have a trail added into the property. I mean, there's so many issues with this, and I think your product is fantastic. I really do, but I don't think that this was zoned, I guess, according to that. And those are just the concerns that I come forward here with.
Can I speak to a couple of those things?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's do the easy ones, then I'll ask you the hard one. The trail was a surprise to you. Never heard anything about a trail. Talking to the property owners, apparently back whenever that was a discussion, it was going to go between the property to the west and the cost of property. And there was, my understanding is that the ones to the west did not want the trail. And so the trail was redirected somewhere else and completed, I think, further west is what I was told by the property owner. So there's no trail there now, and I don't know what it would connect to. We're going to connect the sidewalks to the existing sidewalks, but to my understanding, there's not a trail there. Now, traffic study, we did prepare a traffic study. The traffic study was submitted. You should have that, but I can tell you what the traffic study says. You can believe this or not believe it, but the fact of the matter is our developments generate the very least amount of traffic of any type of residential, and I don't care how dense it is. You give me 1 acre normal lots or the biggest lot you have, we will generate less traffic. The traffic study, which was done by Ryan Hills, who is the state's leading traffic engineer, and it's in the file. I mean, I gave it to Sherry. But I looked it up before the meeting. The traffic study indicates 248 trips a day, 16 in traffic heavy time in the morning, and 20 in traffic heavy time in the afternoon. That's negligible. 16 cars in 2 hours. So we do have the traffic study, and that's what it shows. Okay, now I didn't understand your point about the 55 plus. You didn't. So
we didn't zone for a this wasn't focused for a senior living. The patio home ordinance was just a patio home ordinance. When we did
it says right in there for an empty nest type housing. That's the purpose stated in the ordinance.
But it wasn't the only type of housing. And again, there's some miscommunication here, and I appreciate that. When we had that discussion, it was end of July last year when this was rezoned.
Yeah, I wasn't part of that. It
was agreed, right, but you've referred back to it. So it was agreed that they had put the trail through on 2200 West on a street in front of houses, and they had talked about rezoning and moving the trail all the way east and going through that property, and that would be part of an MDA. And so that was an earlier agreement. I'm sorry that you don't know about it and that no one's brought that up to you.
I think it's been completed. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was told by the property owners, is that the trail has been completed, but it
It
went,
hasn't.
well, it's not there. She said it was further west. I don't know how further west. I went out there this morning to try to find it. I don't know where it would have connected to.
2200 south, so, or 2200 west. It just goes along that's, and I get your concern. And again, I do, like, I have driven through your neighborhoods and I like them and I think they're nice, but I don't think that they comply with what.
Can I try, I'm just trying to understand what is it you don't want it restricted to 55 plus, you want it more open to anybody? I don't get what, you don't
No,
want
I'm
to
just
see.
saying, you keep talking like the patio home ordinance is only for 55 and up, but when we passed it, it was for anyone. And so like in your, I guess in your reasoning here, it's going through as a 55 and up, and that's what you focused on, and I appreciate that, but that's not generally what we focused on.
What is empty nest if it's not retirees?
I think the biggest problem is when we passed the patio ordinance, we thought it was one property owner, or one property shared, you know, it was like a duplex. I can't really call it, just two properties sharing one property owner, not four. And we have to decide if we want to be sold on the four owners doing one or two. And that's the headache that we're all trying to decide if we want to allow that or not allow it.
My answer to that is that both can work, because a duplex will get you a private backyard, right? A fenced backyard. We don't do that because we back four up to each other. But our buyers, and there's a buyer for both of those things. What our buyers want is what your ordinance purports to want as well, is the empty nest lifestyle. Our folks they want to be able to lock the house up, not worry about who's going to mow the backyard that's in the fence, and go to St. George for 4 months or go on a mission for 2 years and not worry about the house. They want to be able to have a party with their grandkids in the pool, all that kind of stuff. That's an empty nest lifestyle. It's not having 3 cars or whatever. My point is, all of these can work. I guess I'm just trying to convince you that what we do is, in fact, what your ordinance purports to want. And shouldn't get hung up on a duplex or fourplex or a single-family detached, basically.
One of the other things about an MDA, the reason that was kind of put in the ordinance was, okay, what are you going to bring to the city for allowing, I mean, really to actually cram more in here than the single ones would be if they were just single lots. If you tried to lay this out with just normal roads and doing one unit at a time, there wouldn't fit as many in there as you've put in here. So by us allowing more in here, there should be something for the city as far as, you're saying that you do a nice clubhouse and a pool and all that. Does that bring something to the city? I don't know.
It brings something to the residents that move into this. It creates the thing that you're purportedly looking to create. You have all sorts of other zones already that allow for duplexes. But somehow the city decided, and of course I wasn't around then, the city decided, hey, we need to have this empty nester style zone. And rightly so. Most cities are creating these now because they finally recognize, criminy, we got to have someplace for grandma and grandpa. And there are different animals that work better than a standard subdivision 3rd-acre lot that we've all had for the last 50 years. Those days are gone. I mean, you're going to see more. I mean, you all see stuff. You guys have been pretty progressive with all of your townhome projects I've seen and all these apartment deals, but criminy, this is quality. This brings the same amount of amenities that you would have in a 400-unit apartment complex, for crying out loud. These are high-end, nice. These are the folks that already live here that are tired of mowing the lawn, tired of climbing stairs. They just want to relax. And I think there's I guess if there's something you don't, I don't know what it would be that would be a negative here. I mean, we're under the zone density. The zone exists. We're in compliance with it. We think we have the nicest thing along the Wasatch Front. Nobody has done a better product than we have. We have had some people that have copied what we've done. In fact, there's one, this is going to be problematic for the city too. You've already approved an exact copy. Green Farms number 4 was approved in March.
That doesn't.
It's
that
an
doesn't-
exact copy of our
doesn't
product.
factor into this discussion.
Well,
Green Farms, the complicated.
It factors in that you like that one well enough to approve it, and it doesn't have any amenities.
But there was an MDA, and actually Green Farms has significant amenities regarding open space and some other things. So it really doesn't factor into this discussion, and so we really can't compare that. When you keep talking about how that your proposal fits the ordinance, your proposal doesn't fit the ordinance unless the city is willing to agree to an MDA. It's very clear about zero lot lines are a may when it comes to a development agreement. If you brought it in and you had individual homes without a zero lot line issue, then this wouldn't be a thing. You know, you would follow the setbacks and all of the other requirements and the size of the lots. However, you're asking for a zero lot line, and that is under a development agreement. And so it is a may. It is not, you're not entitled to approval unless the city says yes to the development agreement.
I understand that. And I would just add to that, we are in receipt of a draft development agreement, which we have agreed to. So the development agreement was prepared by the city. I have a copy of it. I explained last meeting that we are in agreement with it. In fact, I'd even tighten it up a little more in benefit of the city. And we don't have any problem with it. There is one typo in it that would need to be corrected, but other than that, I'm fine going forward with it.
Well, there would be additions that would be needed, including, if the city said yes to your design. But again, the problem is just because you were provided with the form doesn't mean that the city said, yes, that we're going to say yes to your site plan and your proposal. And that's what the Planning Commission has to decide as to whether or not they're going to recommend that to the city council.
I understand. I mean, I'm just saying we agree to your draft development agreement as presented to us. So,
Okay, hang on. Any questions, any more questions for him? Andrew, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I do just want to say that I don't think anybody's questioning the quality of the project. I think the project shows that it is a good quality project. I think the biggest concerns here are, do we want to grant zero lot lines in this particular area? That would give you more density in this area than you could do without the zero lot lines. And there are neighbors in that area that we need to be considerate of in terms of density. And then there are other factors with this MDA. I mean, typically we enter in an MDA because there's something that we as a city get in return, not just the residents that are living in that community, but the entire city will get in return. And in this MDA, there really isn't that exchange going on other than you getting to develop a parcel as you like, and we're giving you the opportunity to build it based on zero lot lines.
Thanks, Andrew. All right. Yeah, I think that's my position too. I think the city needs to get some consideration in this for giving you the density. I'm okay with, I think I would like it better if there were single ones next to the existing homes, and more dense toward the industrial, but I could live with this if there was something coming back to the city. I don't know what it would be, but yeah, I don't think anybody's debating that it looks nice and that your developments you've done are nice. So I don't think that's the debate at all. So And we're just the recommending body, right? So it'll go to the city council with whatever our recommendation.
Sure, I understand. I mean, I'm trying to think of something that we could give if we've done that in the past with larger projects. We've carved off a piece for part. This just isn't big enough to do. This is barely big enough to do our minimal size. So we have to, in trying to create a community, we need a certain number of units to do that. And this is
How many acres is this?
16 and change.
That's my other question.
And the zone, I guess if you don't like the zone because of the density, then yeah, you shouldn't have allowed 5 per acre, but that's what's allowed in the zone, and we're at 4.6, I think. If I could give you something, I would. I don't. The way this lays out, and it's not. Yeah, there's.
Lot size.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Well, if we had more property, we could maybe carve off a little park or something. But
My
I
other
just don't see
concern
it.
too is we've had sound issues before with industrial that's to the east. And so,
That makes sense. Now, just real quick on that, we're the quietest thing in the
no,
city.
you are, but they aren't.
Neighbors.
Yeah.
It's the industrial that's.
So they're
not
gonna,
you.
our guys are gonna be complaining of, well, we've got projects next to railroad tracks, next to freeways. I mean, half of the people can't hear like I can. But our parties are over by 7:30. So normally neighbors are like us because we're quiet.
I don't think you're going to be a disruptive neighbor, but I would think if I would change anything in the MDA, I would add a sound engineer to that for him to look at
Looking at our impact or the stuff that's to the
stuff
east,
that's going to impact you, so that your residents.
so that our people are informed. And that would be, we'd have to put that in a disclose. I think the way that we've had to deal with stuff like this in the past, we'd have to disclose that.
Yeah, there's ways though too to build the building and stuff.
What kind of noise are the what are they doing there that's?
The subdivision to the west, they were complaining because of the people to the east in the industrial park were doing sandblasting outside, and it was,
Oh, sandblasting.
yeah, and it was,
Of steel components and things, large things.
And that's
Noisy.
actually, you just kind of raised, I don't want to keep talking, but we are a great, in this, whether it's us or another somebody that's fitting my role, this type of product is a perfect transition from something bad to something good. In West Jordan, I am right between the highest price subdivision in the city and the worst apartment complex in the city. And the city loved that we were a transition from one thing. We're good between commercial and regular residential, between industrial and regular residential.
Well, that's exactly why this was rezoned.
Well, that makes sense. It seems like an appropriate place for what we do.
So then the only thing I have is that the city should get some consideration for the density, a trail or something, whatever the city decides. But
I don't have a problem if there's a trail connection, if it would connect to something. My problem only is to the extent that you got to understand our seniors. Their mindset is, and I think if you think about it, it makes sense. There's nothing like a retiree with nothing but time on their hand, looking out their front door, who's walking through their neighborhood. There's a sense of privacy that's important to them, a sense of security. So to have a public trail might be problematic, but it might not. It depends on where it would go. But
okay.
It's not a deal killer. But I just don't think it. I don't think it's there.
Okay, has everybody made up their minds? Anyone want to share their thoughts?
I will still stand the same. Like, I would recommend a denial on this. That's kind of where I stand with it. I don't feel like that we're getting what we want from it. The city isn't getting what they want from it, what has been agreed to in the past when it was rezoned, nor fit with what the neighborhood had expected to be east of them.
Okay, anyone else want to share?
I'm kind of with you as a transition. I mean, I'm probably fine with up above, but backing open field and the neighbors to the west. I'm not so sure I like the 4 houses on each. It might be more comfortable with 2, going across there. versus the 4, but I'm still kind of, I like the concept, I like the idea, but I just don't know if it's the right fit for where it's at, especially since you got that open space, the empty space that the property owners to the west own. There's 2 big lots there, and so I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Is it because is there just too many in this one piece, or is that why we don't like it, or we like his product? Is there just too many there?
For me, yes.
I'm in the
Yes.
category, and to me, it's too, I mean, I feel like it's not 0 lot lines, it's double 0 lot lines, and, maybe I'm a weird 55 plus, I want a little elbow room.
You want a what room?
No, I know what you said, I know.
She said elbow
I
room.
didn't hear that. What- you want-
Elbow room.
Oh, elbow room. Well, yeah, that's why I'm saying there's a solution for everybody. Not everybody some people want a yard. They can't give up the yard. I get that.
I'm just trying to help you pinpoint why it's not just, hey, we
No,
want
no,
this one. I really do like the
Hey,
product.
like I said before, we only want to go where people like us. And I'm just saying that normally the first deal we do is a struggle, and then we do 2 or 3 other ones after they realize, well, hey, these are nice, and these are the people with money in town. We don't have to build schools or hire cops. They're nice.
I wonder if we ought to just do our little vote and a motion where it may be denied, it may whatever it is, and just see what the city council has to say, what their input is too.
Sure.
Yeah, we don't have the final
I understand.
say.
I understand.
'Cause
And if I
they-
can't convince you that this is something you want, hey, I respect that.
I'm trying to figure out, I like it, but there's some things I don't like, and I don't know what it is. I haven't-
Yeah, I'm exact same.
Do you know what I'm saying? I'm trying.
I tell you, the best way to get comfortable or not comfortable is drive through, park there till you can bug somebody in one of our communities, say, hey, do you like this place or not? Would you move in here again if you did
And
it
I
again?
did drive through the one in North Ogden, and it looked kind of bad because of the drought.
Yeah, they turned the water off. We can't
So
get, and that's brand new. We can't get the landscaping, has
Yeah,
it?
so I can't really say, I should have went to Syracuse.
Syracuse
but
is the one you need to
I
look
didn't,
at.
so that's why I can't make a judgment
Yeah.
that way, but I don't know. That would be my recommendation. Let's just make a motion and see what the city council has to say, and then maybe they might have something to say, then they can tweak it. You can come back, and if you have to tweak something, then come back before us. If that.
Sure, I mean,
I don't.
I'm trying to come up with, well, what can we give you to make it more palatable? I don't know what, in this
know.
particular situation.
And maybe they have the answer.
Well, for me, it'd be anything west of 2050 West, if those were all singles over there, that would make me happier.
Yeah,
And then everything to the east could be 4. I would be okay with that.
and why would that make a difference? Because you like the rear
But
lots?
just give a transition to the larger lots.
And not that
single
the
family.
zoning says that, it does, but it,
Let me come back respectfully to that. Here's why what we propose, in my opinion, is better. And that is because one thing we've learned that people like us is because we don't do 2-story houses. There's no window facing over the fence. And that's a big deal to a neighbor next door. At least it has been in previous projects where they go, yeah, we'd much rather have grandma and grandpa and no 2-story looking over my fence into my backyard. So,
if you're ready for a motion, I think what we're gonna do, I'm gonna make a friendly, recommend that we deny it as drawn, and that, maybe look at it again if the city council has some adjustments, they kind of tweak it, and we'll listen to what they have to say if we're gonna accept an MDA, and that's kind of what.
Is that your motion?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to recommend denial.
With that we would look at it again with some of the city council's input on the MDA.
That you're willing to look at it again with city council's input.
Yeah.
Okay? So I have a motion and a second to recommend denial to the city council, but with the caveat to revisit it if city council feels like it's a good thing. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
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 I'm a nay as well. So we have Andrew, 1, 2, 3, 4 with Andrew and as a aye on that motion and 2 nays. So it's going to be recommended.
Is Scott's nay a nay on my motion, or is it a nay
Yeah,
on the
no, it's
project?
just nay. I'd just soon have come back something completely different, not even
Okay.
come back as being, well, maybe likes this or whatnot. I think that, you know, you look at the size of the property and how many homes, and if you go single 0 lot lines, you can get as many homes. And if we're doubling up what is available, city should get something substantial or something tangible out of it than just, hey, this is a nice community, residents have a nice area, but that's just me, so.
Okay, so it's recommended the city council denied. They had 4 votes, so it goes that way. So it'll go to city council, and city council will take it up probably in their next meeting, so.
Okay, all
Sure,
right.
you know which meeting it
Okay.
is, so.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, thank you. Me and Scott. All right. Item number 6, public hearing to consider proposal to rezone the Fairgrove Estate subdivision from commercial C2 to commercial C2. I think that's printed twice, to agricultural A1 and residential R2 and residential patio homes. Before we go into public hearing, Amy, you want to talk about why we're having to do this?
Yes. In April of 2022, as part of a staff review on a home occupation request, it was discovered that there was a number of subdivisions in the city that had been zoned open space or some sort of odd mix of open space. And unfortunately, with that, made these subdivisions illegal to have any sort of structure on them at all. In order to be able to fix that and to be able to increase, to be able to give residents rights, including with accessory buildings, animal rights, that sort of stuff, it has been recommended by staff to rezone in with these subdivisions. Some of the subdivisions, like specifically with Fairgrove Estates, was zoned all commercial C2. We don't know why that happened, but it definitely is an issue when you're looking at a residential subdivision and it's a possibility that somebody could come in and right now build a commercial business in the middle of a residential subdivision. So there are about 800 plus lots or homes that have been involved in this. Sherry Phippen has gone through all of these and has made recommendations with all of them. This is basically the 3rd meeting that we've had regarding these. So the first meeting we had 2 of the subdivisions. The second meeting we've had 3, and tonight we'll have 4 public hearings regarding these different subdivisions. 2 of the main concerns with people, based upon the 2 open houses we had and number of comments we've received, had to do with 1, what would happen with accessory buildings, and 2, what would happen with animal rights. 2 meetings ago, we fixed those issues by basing accessory buildings and animal rights on lot size and not on zoning, so that that would help deal with that. And so yes, both of those are very much dealt with that way. Some people have asked, why do we not just write an open space ordinance? It's impossible because there are 817 lots that have to be accounted for, and you have a number of different sizes and different issues with each one of those that would make trying to draft an open space ordinance for these specific 817 lots impossible. Also, because not all of them were zoned open space, just straight open space, they would have to be rezoned anyway, because some of them were, again, like with the C2, and then there was other ones that were called green open space. One was, Stonefield was open space recreation residential. One was open space with conditions, that was Windsor Farms. There was another one, Country Haven, that was mixed use residential / open space, which, like, green open space doesn't exist. We don't have a zone for that. We don't have an open space / recreation / residential zone. We don't have a green open space, so they would have had to been rezoned anyway. Some people have asked if the zoning map says that their property is zoned one thing, something different than what the city is saying, how can that be possible? The map is not correct, and we have to go off of what the specific ordinance involving the specific property states. Some have asked about that they thought that Fairgrove, like specifically Fairgrove, had a mixed-use overlay, and whether or not that was not true. The problem is an overlay is not the same as a zone, and it's a separate ordinance. And if the separate ordinance was not passed, then the overlay does not exist. And so because of that, Fairgrove is only zoned commercial C2, and it has to be rezoned. There have been other questions about, let's see. It says, like, what if the shop that somebody has is no longer allowed with the changes? And really, any land use which was properly applied for and permitted will be grandfathered in and allowed to continue. Changes to that use would possibly need to comply with new regulations, but legal property permitted existing uses will be allowed to continue. There's been also questions about, won't this open up large numbers of properties for future subdivision? It will not. We actually, staff, and I like to say we, that's really the royal we because it's really shared, looked at all of the different lots, and there's fewer than 10 that could possibly be subdivided again, based upon the proposed new zone. And while some parcels may be large enough to split, there are a variety of factors that take away the parcel's ability to be further subdivided. Those factors include lot width, structure placement, power line easements, and other things. So there's really only about 10.
And that's over the whole city, not just this subdivision, or, right, correct?
Yeah, over these 817
Yeah.
lots, only about 10 of them would possibly be able to. And some have heard that once you're in a subdivision, you can't further subdivide your property, and won't that prohibit those lots from being further split? And that's not accurate. According to our code, if somebody wants to subdivide, split a lot in an already created subdivision, they have to just do exactly what you would have to do if you were creating a brand new subdivision. You'd have to bring it to the planning commission, and then you'd have to go to the city council. And so, and so it doesn't mean that you can't further subdivide. It just means you still have to go through the same process. Some people have asked this happened almost 20 years ago. Why not just leave it the way it is? And again, this totally affects property rights. And once city is aware of a problem, we need to work on fixing it. This will not affect the property taxes according to the Weber County assessor if as long as the use of the property remains the same. Changing the zoning will not impact property taxes or trigger a reassessment of the property. It says, why have people been permitted to build shops and have businesses before, but now all of a sudden they were told that they can't? And again, previous staff had incorrectly interpreted the code and the ordinances and allowed taller outbuildings and home occupations and other such uses. The ordinance does not allow those things, and they should not have been granted permits. However, doing the rezone allows those things. And so that's another big reason why we're doing it, is so that the residents have the rights they thought they had all along, but actually didn't.
And we should note, we changed the animal ordinance at the first meeting of all of these to go by lot size. So what animals you're allowed is by the size of your lot, not your zoning. And we also changed the accessory buildings to be the same way. So depending on how big your lot is, will determine how big of a building you can have on the lot. So those were concerns too. So those have been addressed. So let's enter into public hearing now for Fairgrove Estates. I have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we enter into public hearing.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to enter into public hearing regarding the rezone of Fairgrove Estates subdivision. All those in favor say aye.
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 There we go. Any opposed? Okay, we're in public hearing. Any member of the public who would like to come forward at this time can speak on this matter and this matter only regarding Fairgrove Estates subdivision rezone. If you come to the microphone here, please state your name and address for the record. If you're online, please raise your hand and wait for me to call upon you. Anyone like to speak? You can do so now. I should say, remember to be kind. You're all neighbors.
Do I just walk up there? I'm
Yep,
new.
yep.
So my name is Brett Talbot. I live at 4124 South, 4550 West in Fairgrove Phase 1.
Okay.
So I have a question. When we moved into this cul-de-sac, we signed it and moved in there because we had certain CCRs that would keep certain things out. So if you rezone this, what happens to our CCRs?
It's a good attorney question.
Nothing. The
They remain the same?
The CCNRs remain the same because that is a civil contract that everybody has entered into with each other that are living in that subdivision. They're recorded with the land. They run with the land. The city has no legal authority to enforce those, and it has nothing to do with that.
They don't have authority to enforce it or take them away?
Either one, because we didn't enter into them to begin with, and it's a civil matter with the property owners in that area and has nothing to do with the city. We cannot
Okay,
enforce.
so
the
basically,
CCRs.
everything stays the same?
Well, except for you get more rights. And you're not going to have I believe yours is the
What rights
commercial.
do I get more? Because there
Well-
may be some that I don't
Well,
want.
currently you can't have a home-based business. You can't build an outbuilding. You
Okay,
can't
but
add
our
on to your house.
CCRs say no anyway, though.
Okay.
So they would remain
And
on
then
top,
you're
right?
not going to have some sort of gas station in the middle of possibly being
Right.
built in the middle of your
Right,
subdivision.
or I can't subdivide my lot and let someone else build there.
Well, if your lot is a certain size and you have certain setbacks and you have,
What is the size, do you know?
She's the attorney filling in for the planning
Oh, okay.
person, so she doesn't know just off the top of her head like that person would.
I apologize.
No, that's okay, I was just curious.
But yeah.
Bigger than an acre or-
To subdivide, you have to have so much width. You gotta have to have enough room for setbacks. So depending on where a house sits on a lot, even if the lot's big enough, doesn't mean it can subdivide because there's not enough setbacks
Okay.
for a new house.
Okay, so it could vary.
And that was
Okay.
kind of along with her statement. There's only 10 places in the whole city
Right,
that are
and
subdivided.
was
They
our phase in that? I guess that's my question.
No,
Okay, good.
If Sherry was here, she could answer that question, but I can't answer that question as to whether or not one of those or 8 of them are.
She had surgery. That's why she's not here.
That's okay, that's okay.
And I mean, if you have a specific question about your lots, you can always contact us and
Okay.
privately,
That was-
we'll help you out for sure.
My main question was just what happens to the CCRs, so
Yeah,
Right.
they're private, so they stay.
they stay. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Don't see any hands online. If not, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, okay, Murdoch. Is that the name, Murdoch? You can unmute yourself and talk.
Hi, it's Richard Murdoch at 4141 South, 4550 West, lot number 8 in the Fairgrove Estates, Phase 1.
Okay.
Will these changes affect my ability to add on to the current outbuilding I have?
No, shouldn't.
So it won't,
Unless your outbuilding was illegal to start with. If you got it permitted or
well, it was permitted at the time of building, but I believe it would exceed height for the new zoning requirements.
Well, then that's controls. The accessory building ordinance will control what you can do with your accessory building. And that doesn't have to do with the rezone tonight because that's based on your lot size.
Okay, as long as my lot's big enough, I just wanted to make sure that this change would not affect my ability to add on to an outbuilding.
Well, again, the rezone does not have to do with that. It's the accessory building ordinance that you would have to check with the city to find out whether or not what you want to do is allowed. But this
Okay.
this doesn't have to do with that.
Yep, I've already checked with them and they said that was fine, but it was going to depend on what the zoning changes happened here. So I just wanted to make sure that this was the same, that I was getting both answers.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we exit public hearing.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to leave public hearing on Fairgrove Estates. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Sorry, Andrew, I didn't pause long enough, but you were right there, so. All right, any changes on this one? Are we good to move forward with Fairgrove?
So I just for clarification purposes, Mr. Murdoch was concerned about being able to do anything with his current outbuilding. If nothing changed, he wouldn't be able to do anything with it anyways because it's illegal right now, right?
Yes.
And if Mr. Murdoch's barn or shed or outbuilding burnt down, he would not be allowed to rebuild it if it stayed status quo, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
But as the rezone, it would allow him to do those things as long as it was met the lot size and everything else, correct?
With the accessory building ordinance, yes.
yeah. Okay, I'll entertain a motion on this. Are you guys ready?
Well, do we have to list which specific
Yeah,
phases?
I was
are
looking
going
for the
what, or do
phases.
we just say it's the way it was presented?
I think you can just say the way it is in the packet because the ordinance is all there.
Okay, well then I'll make a motion that we propose to rezone the Fairgrove Estates subdivision from commercial C2 to agricultural A1, residential R2, and residential patio homes, according to what was presented for the different phases in the packet.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to recommend to City Council to rezone Fairgrove Estates subdivision commercial C2 to agricultural A1, residential R2, and residential patio homes as listed in the packet. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that one moves on to City Council. Item number 8, public hearing to consider a proposal to rezone the Joni Acres subdivision from green open space to agricultural A1 and residential R2. Do I have a motion for that?
Make a motion, we enter public hearing to consider a proposal to rezone the Joni Acres subdivision from green open space to agricultural A1 and residential R2.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to enter into public hearing for the Joni Acres subdivision rezone. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're in public hearing for Joni Acres subdivision. So anyone who'd like to come forward with this one, please do so at this time. Anybody online, please raise your hand. Come on up.
Thank you. My name is Ralph Crook, 4620 West, 3825 South in Joni Acres. I received this map that has the green around the outside and the blue in the middle.
Uh-huh.
What's the difference?
The zone it's gonna go to. I believe the green is A1, am I right? And the blue is R2.
Okay, and the difference?
What the zone allows, so A1 requires larger lot size and R2 is a smaller lot size.
So the A1's like an acre or more, in lot size, and the others, that's exactly what that is.
Yeah,
And it doesn't make any.
because those other lots are smaller, they wouldn't comply with the A1 zone.
Yeah, and so the only difference may be that they can't have any animals or,
Well, that's based on lot size.
Lot size,
So
and
the
then-
smaller the lot, the less animals you can have,
right,
the more, so,
okay. That's what we were wondering, thank you.
yeah. Anyone else? You coming? Come on up and say your name. They have to have a record of it.
I'm Jan Orozco. I live at 4584 West, 4000 South.
So what was your first
name?
name?
Why?
What was your first name?
Jan
Jan Roscoe?
Orozco.
Oh, Roscoe? Okay. Why we're doing it?
Uh-huh.
Because right now it's zoned commercial. No, this one's zoned.
Zone green, it's zone green, so, I
Open
mean,
space.
it's
It's,
right
yeah,
across the
zoned
street. I
open
like the
space.
color of it green.
The open space zone doesn't allow for houses.
Yeah, what's the problem with that? I don't understand. Where's the problem?
If your house burnt down,
Pardon?
if your house burnt down, you wouldn't be allowed to build it
It
again.
wa- I would,
No, you wouldn't.
on my house, because my house is across the street.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you don't want any more neighbors.
What's that?
You have some bad neighbors that you want their house burned down.
A bad neighborhood?
I think the deputy better
Actually,
patrol
the
that
best neighborhood
neighborhood
in all of
tonight.
West Haven, but I was just joking, but I just was wondering why.
Yeah, it's to fix an error.
They want to build more houses?
No,
Nope.
no.
Oh, okay.
No, it's to make the what's there legal and make it conform to the ordinance so that they can have all the rights.
Okay,
We found out about it when someone came in for a home occupation, and we found out they were in an open space zone, and the open space zone doesn't allow for home occupations. They
okay.
couldn't even have their home occupation, so we had to
Alright.
deny them.
Well, that's good then. So,
So-
no, for all these, I get these in the mail, I'm like, what the heck? Why are we all of a sudden changing all of this?
Well,
when
and the
it's been
people outside the boundaries.
Like even all those stuff that was behind me, that he's just talking about, that's all the new housing behind me, and I'm like, why after all this
Yeah,
time are
no,
we changing?
yeah. And we had an open house, but only the people that live in the subdivisions were notified, so, but by state law, we had to notify everyone that lives around the subdivision. So that's why it's all new to you, because you're like, what's going on? Because you didn't get all that information.
Because I live outside of that area in the better part of town.
No, it's just you're not exactly in the subdivision, so,
Yeah, all right, thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Anybody online? I don't see anyone, so I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to leave public hearing.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to leave public hearing on Joni Acres subdivision. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're out of public hearing on that. I think we're good on this one, aren't we? I don't think there's any changes or any corrections, so I'll entertain a motion if you guys are ready.
I'll try to muddle through this. I'll make a motion that we propose the rezone to city council of Joni Acres subdivision from green open space to agricultural A1 and residential R2.
You're recommending it,
Yeah,
correct?
sorry, recommending. I told you I'd muddle through it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to recommend to the city council the rezone of Joni Acres subdivision from green open space to agricultural A1 and residential R2 as listed in the packet. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, it moves on to city council. Yeah, there's always a delay online, so. All right, item number 10, public hearing to consider proposal to rezone the Seclusion Meadows subdivision from open space to agricultural A1 and residential R2. Do I have a motion to enter into public hearing for this subdivision?
Make a motion, we enter public hearing.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to enter into public hearing for Seclusion Meadows subdivision from open space agricultural A1 to agricultural A1 residential R2. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're in public hearing. Any member of the public who would like to speak on this subdivision, please do so at this time. Come to the podium if you're here or online, raise your hands. Oh, we have a Zoom user online that wants to speak. You can unmute yourself. Zoom user?
Yeah, this is
There you go.
Gerald Tila. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you state your name again?
Gerald Tila. I live at 2167 West, 2200 South, Seclusion Meadows, Lot 22.
Okay.
Just to clarify, so I have a shop out back that was permitted, and there's no issues with that as stands. There's no changes to that, correct?
Nope, your grandfather, because you were permitted and built it legally, it's legal.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we leave public hearing.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to leave public hearing on Seclusion Meadows. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're out of public hearing. Any issues here, Alika or Amy? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we consider a proposal to rezone the Seclusion Meadows subdivision from open space to agricultural A1 and residential R2.
Recommend, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to recommend the rezone for Seclusion Meadows subdivision from open space to agricultural A1 and residential R2. All those in favor of recommending this, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, it's on to City Council. Item 12, public hearing to consider proposal to rezone the Windsor Farm subdivision from open space with conditions to agricultural A1 and residential R2.
This one, there is a suggestion of two changes on it.
Right.
Parcel ID 154060001, address 3264 West, 2700 South. Recommending that should be A1. And then also 154060026 with address 3251 West, 2700 South should also be A1. These are two parcels that were discussed during work session based upon their size and also because of the
Power lines?
the power lines, thank you. The suggestion was made that they be A1 instead of R2. Just wanted to bring that up
Yep,
before
we
you.
had one of the homeowners here, so we talked to him, so he's good with it. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion for a public hearing to consider or recommend a proposal to rezone the Windsor Farm subdivision.
I'll second it.
You have a motion and a second to enter into public hearing on the Windsor Farm subdivision rezone. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're in public hearing on this, on Windsor Farms. If anyone would like to come forward and speak at this time, may do so. Come on up. You don't have to raise your hand here, just if you're online.
Amy, did we need to mention the part that was in the map but not getting rezoned?
Oh, I forgot about that. If, Sharice, could you pull up the map? With the map, there was one parcel that is city-owned, but it's not in the, it was on the map saying that it should be R2. It shouldn't, it needs to remain open space. It is not in the, it's not included in the ordinance itself. It was just included in the map, and so that was a change that had been made. This is supposed to be a future park area and will remain so.
State your name.
Amanda Hanson. So my first question is, where do we find out what limitations on the size of the outbuildings if we were to build a shop, if we are rezoned to the R2? You said it was proportionate to the lot size.
Right. So what doesn't matter what zone you are, it just matters your lot size, so.
Okay, so where would that information?
It should be online. Is that all online now?
No, not yet.
Okay.
But you're welcome to call
Okay,
us and I can look at your specific property and I can go over that with you.
okay. Second is grandfathered in. At what point are they considered grandfathered in? I guess after today, anything that wasn't already under construction?
Well, your house will be grandfathered. I mean, it'll be permitted now, but to rebuild it, but it's grandfathered because it was permitted and built under a different zone.
Okay, so if those that were not permitted yet still built, how are those being addressed?
So if there ever becomes an issue, the city does it complaint-based mostly how things happen. And so if there becomes an issue and they look it up and there was never a permit, then that,
Okay,
they may have to take it down or move it or something.
okay. And what recourse is there at this point if, say, we look it up and it doesn't suit the lot size of, or the shop size of what we would like or require? The whole reason we bought this lot is so we could, and we drove around, obviously there were shops the size of what we would need on similar sized parcels. Is there any recourse at this point to reconsider? Or once you guys approve this, we're just stuck with this
Well,
decision?
Already built?
No.
that, The rezone, I don't think will affect that. What will affect it is the accessory buildings ordinance that's already passed
Okay.
And your lot size.
and your lot size.
So this proceeding has nothing to do with the size of shop that you can build. It has to do with the accessory building ordinance that was passed 2 meetings, two meetings ago, and then the city council acted on it. So I guess it would be the 1st of September.
Yeah, so you can, I think you can build a pretty big shop depending on your lot size, but you have to meet the setbacks and you have to
Okay.
maintain enough green space in your yard. So
Okay. So you said
every
those will
yard
be
is a little different that way.
Okay.
You know.
So you said I could reach out to
Yeah.
you. What was your name again?
I'm Alec Murphy. I'm the city planner.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Alec is our new city planner. So
All right.
yeah, our staff's really nice. So you ever have issues, just come talk to them. And
Perfect.
you know, not all cities are. I've
Yes,
dealt with
awesome.
other cities, so you know.
No, I
they're not-
appreciate it.
They'll,
Yeah, I
they'll
do.
just walk you through it if you need.
Okay.
If you need
Yeah,
them
I
to,
do
so.
city planning out on Hill Air Force Base, so I get it. It's contentious, so I will reach out to you for the more
It
information.
hasn't been tonight.
No.
Well, other than the
Except for the
patio homes, I
we
guess.
Won't, we won't say. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I can't see the online people, so. Oh, we only have Andrew left. He's the only one left online. Anyone
The
else?
lone wolf.
Yeah. Everybody else left. Okay, if there's no one else, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to leave public hearing.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to leave public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any, oh. Did we get you, Andrew?
Aye.
Oh, thank you. Any
Andrew
opposed?
wants to stay online all night.
Okay, we're out of public hearing. So we need to make those changes. Other than the one the city owns isn't in the ordinance, so I don't think we have to worry about that. It's the
Yeah, that
ordinance-
one's not there.
It's the ordinance that governs, so,
Yep.
right, not the map. So just those other two lots need to be mentioned to change those.
Yes, I circled them even.
Okay, I recommend
Thank you.
a proposal to rezone the Windsor Farm subdivision from open space with conditions to agriculture A1 and residential R2, with the exception of parcels 154060001 at 3264 West, 2700 South, that be rezoned to A1, as well as parcel 154060026, located at 3251 West, 2700 South, also to be rezoned to A1.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to rezone Windsor Farm, recommend to City Council to rezone Windsor Farm subdivision from open space with the conditions to agricultural A1 and residential R2 with the two changes from the packet that parcel number 154060001 go to A1 zoning and 154060026 go to A1 as well. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, it moves to city council with those changes. Okay,
I'll make a
I
motion
think
to
we did
adjourn.
it. You have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second it.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.
I won't be here next week.
Are these-
In 2 weeks, I'll be here.
You get that, Sherry?